What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. It feels so good to be back. Today, we are talking about Survivor Season 37, David vs. Goliath, our cast assessment. And it is very exciting because in 2 weeks, we are going to have the season finale of Big Brother and the premiere of Survivor Season 37. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and as you guys probably noticed, we haven't been podcasting very much lately just because there wasn't a lot of content to go off of, and we've both been busy. As you can see, we both moved back to school, so things have been crazy.
Yeah, the only good thing about back to school means that Survivor is coming back. I honestly sort of forgot that Survivor season 37 was a thing when I saw on Facebook and Instagram that like the casts would be announced this week. I was like, "Oh, haha, I can't wait to see like Kelly Wentworth and stuff again," because I was like, "Oh, it's season 38, right?" But no, we're on season 37, and honestly, this cast was really hard to analyze because this year we didn't see Survivor on CBS posting the like little short YouTube video clips that they usually do for the cast. So we're basing it off on the Q&A segment on the Survivor Wiki page, which honestly like doesn't do anything for you because those questions are so like broad and doesn't do anything for the game.
Yeah, like also we talked about how what people say on their like Q&A versus how they actually are is often very different. Like sometimes we'll like give our impressions based just on the Q&A, and then we'll like watch the video and be like, what the heck? So
yeah, exactly. The video is where like people show their personality, if they're like fun, quirky, cocky, whatever. And the Q&A with the stupid questions about like claim to fame, 3 adjectives to describe yourself. Obviously, you're going to say the coolest thing that you have for 3 adjectives. Everyone says like hardworking and passionate, but like if that doesn't come off like genuine or whatever in your like video, or it doesn't come across genuine as a person or on TV, like you might not fare that well in the game. And it's like these Q&As, it was just really bad and really hard. But yeah, that is what we're basing this off of because there is like nothing to go off of because CBS didn't post anything.
Yeah, CBS, what are you doing? Please give us some content. Okay, so since the cast theme is David versus Goliath, and that's like a biblical thing, Rachel and I thought that we'd like summarize the Bible story for those of you who didn't know. So basically, in the Bible story of David and Goliath, there are these two groups of people who are at war, the Israelites and the Philistines. And David is an Israelite who is very small and wimpy. He's a shepherd who like writes poems. This is literally just David is a shepherd who writes poems. He's not that strong, not that smart, not that anything. And then Goliath is this literal giant of a man. He's described to be like 9 feet tall, which is taller than like any Guinness World Record holder. And he basically wants to pick a fight with the Israelites. So every day and every night for 40 days, he goes and yells at the Israelites and is like, hey, I dare you to find someone to fight me. And if he can beat me, then the Philistines will leave the Israelites alone. And if he can't, then the Philistines get to like take all of the Israelites as their slaves. And so basically everyone was kind of scared of Goliath because he's this like huge ass guy. And it's like, you don't want him fighting. But basically David ends up fighting Goliath. And Goliath is this guy with like tons of armor and this huge sword. And David is this little shepherd boy with a slingshot. And David hits Goliath in the forehead with a stone. Goliath falls backwards and, I don't know, dies, is defeated, basically. And so basically it's this story of how someone who's like big and strong can be defeated by someone who's much smaller than them if they have the right like tools and resources and stuff. So
Yeah, I think like it's very interesting because I feel like the David versus Goliath like story is sort of like an underdog story where people want to root for the underdog, people want to root for the Davids. And I think I don't know, it honestly sort of relates to the Australian Survivor theme of champions versus contenders. It's like the similar thing. One group has like, oh, had it all, versus the other group is like maybe lesser than subpar, basically. So it's interesting because I feel like they want you to root for the Davids, like, oh, we want to root for the underdogs of the story, but like honestly, I don't know. I think the Goliath's team this season is a lot more interesting than the Davids. So
Yeah, I feel like it's also one of those things where the whole David versus Goliath thing, also in the Bible, you're like already set up to root for David because like the Israelites are like the good guys in the Bible, basically. So
yeah, so Survivor on CBS posted 2 videos basically. Then there's some interviews on like E! News and that kind of stuff. But Jeff, just to recap, if you want to watch our like theme reaction video, we also have that on this channel from the summer. But Jeff says that the Goliaths, I can't even say that word, typically win. They have their God-given advantages like brains, supported family, and like they are used to things going their way, versus the Davids had to overcome a lot of obstacles in their lives, which I don't know. Honestly, I feel like the 2 groups blend together, and even some of the people in the specific groups, it's like, oh, I could totally see they could fit in the other group as well. And it's not like, oh, the Goliaths never had to work for anything in their life kind of thing. Like the Davids are the only people who had to work for something in their life. I feel like both teams, like, yes, had to work for things. Maybe it was easier for certain people, but like they both, it's not like the Goliaths are all super dumb and like don't do anything with their lives, but like they both do stuff with their lives.
yeah, I feel like it's just harder to like root for certain people if they come into it with the attitude of like, oh, I'm much better than everyone else. I feel like that's so different from, like it's all about the attitude, which is why I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't get to see them in the videos. So
yeah, because it's just hard to judge character and attitude based on some written statements. So it's like, haha, college apps. How do you judge someone based off some essays that a kid writes? And with this story, I feel like there are no more sob stories because it seems like everyone on this cast has had an uphill battle in their life. You know, no one has had it technically easy. Everyone has had to fight for something. So I feel like in recent seasons, so many critics are like saying how in order to win Survivor, you just need to have like the niche, the storyline, the sob story that you can say to the jury and get the votes at the end. But I feel like with this cast, you can't really say that they won because of a sob story when everyone has had something difficult in their lives and everyone is playing for something different. So hopefully people will stop talking about that now.
yeah, I do think that like the story kind of matters in Survivor, but it doesn't matter as much as you're playing. So
yeah, and it's like, oh, this person only won because XYZ because of their personal life. And then it's like, no, I think they also played a good game. You can't win Survivor and not have played a good game and just have been maybe a decent person and have a sob story and say you need the money. I don't think it comes down to that. So at least with this, everyone has something they can talk about at Final Tribal as their ace in the hole if they all want to bring in a sob story now, because apparently that's where things are going.
yeah. So yeah, just in general, I really hope that they don't rely on the whole sob story thing, but I've been disappointed before.
Season 36 and recent seasons. Overall cast, though, it's interesting. I feel like we have a definitely older in quotes cast compared to recent seasons. It's still fairly young, but I feel like we have more is 30s middle age, but like people who are older than 25, because we don't really have people from the age of 21 to 23, I guess. And I think that was like a prime age really for recent seasons. Everyone wants the young kids now, but like we have a lot of the people are like 28 and older, which is nicer, I feel like. More people with families, so more well-rounded people.
Yeah, I feel like well-rounded is a very good way to talk about this cast, because I feel like last season especially we saw people who it's like they had one claim to fame, and it's like, yikes. So I feel like having people who are a little older is more interesting because they have more like life experience or whatever. So
Yeah, and like, I don't know, they honestly bring more to the table, which is bad to say in a way, but like, you know, if they have a family, they're playing for different things versus if they're straight out of college or still in school, you know, playing for the money aspect versus like the money aspect for family kind of thing, which is really interesting. But yeah, definitely like older people this season. The 19-year-old we'll talk about, but like I don't know. I like the older people. Like, this isn't Big Brother. Stop casting everyone who's 21 to 23. I feel like there are more normal people this season. Normal in the way that, like, they aren't. There are some famous people, yes, but more normal as, like, oh, we have people that you maybe wouldn't see in your everyday life. And like, great, they're cast on the television show. And recently I feel like we've only seen like the super attractive people, super wealthy, super accomplished. And like, I like seeing this. It's, I don't know if it's a good mix, but like more of a diversity in the cast. I don't even know. Like, better, but like still not good in like the kinds of people they're getting. There's still a lot of lawyers and smart people, but like, what are you going to do?
I feel like part of that is, though, there are some people who can't really afford to take off a month and a half of work and go to a deserted island to play Survivor. So I feel like in general, you're just not going to get some professions just because people can't like afford to do it.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's right. Same with Big Brother. How do you take off 3 months of work? How do you take off like 2 months of work to go do this? If you are in a maybe like tighter situation, if you're working day to day or supporting other people. So that's difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a better, I guess we'll see. I don't really want to say, but hopefully a better cast than last season. I don't know. It just seems like the people are more genuine and like real versus like fake. I'm here for the TV fame aspect of the show.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Theme. I honestly don't really get it. I don't know. I feel like it'll end pretty early in this season, and I don't see something where in like heroes, healers, hustlers, where everyone is so stuck in their theme, or in like Ghost Island where everyone wants to pagong the other team. I feel like hopefully, and honestly, that makes for better TV. They do mix, and like we will have tribe swaps early, and it isn't a whole like, oh, I'm stuck in a ditch kind of thing because I'm on orange team. Haha, let me lose now. But like with these people, hopefully, you know, I don't know. I just don't get the theme.
I I think that like the theme is interesting, but I feel like it requires kind of a niche knowledge. Like even if people are Christian, I feel like they've only heard of David Goliath like very abstractly. Like I was raised Christian. I've been Christian basically my whole life, and I had to Google to make sure I was remembering the story right. So it's like, I'm not a super big fan of the theme. And I feel like any theme that inherently puts one group above the other, like champions versus contenders or David versus Goliath, is going to be a little bit just because it's like, if you go into something with a certain mindset, then that can change a lot of things.
Yeah, and then you're already putting that kind of stereotype on the teams, and then that's how viewers will see the teams. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good tagline for TV. Like David versus Goliath sounds really cool. When I'm watching Big Brother, the commercials seem cool. It's like, oh, something something biblical proportions, and it's a cool little anime little thing. Animated, I don't know. The commercials seem cool, and I feel like the theme will draw viewers to watch because it's a nice little tagline, but in reality, hopefully it plays out well. I'm not really sure, but like, I don't know. I like the Goliaths more than the Davids, but I feel like it's supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah, probably.
So, moving into the actual cast assessment. Cast assessing. No cursing. We will go alphabetically, starting with the Goliaths. We have Alec, who is 24 from California, and he's a bartender. So, I guess young end of the spectrum this season because a lot of people are 25 and older. I don't know. This dude seems like a very basic person. He surfs, plays guitar, does travel vlogs. He has less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Looked him up because he talked about his travel vlogging a lot in this Q&A. And I think he's trying too hard. He's like, my bank account, because it's 0. I'm like, come on, dude. And he wants to be like Jay, Joe, and Malcolm. I'm like, stop right there, son. Please just stop.
Okay, he had me at Jay and he lost me at Joe. Like, I feel like being like Jay is not an inherently bad thing. Like, Jay could have won his season, but Joe, everyone knows how I feel about Joe.
Like, okay, that's what I'm saying. You can do Jay and Malcolm. Why put Jay, Joe, Malcolm? You might as well just stick freaking Ozzy in there, any other attractive person who has that kind of hair and is in that archetype. Like, dude, why? Just pick one person or 2 people. Leave Joe out maybe. And I don't know, that is honestly, I felt like it was trying too hard. You're trying to fit that archetype stereotype of the attractive dude who's good at challenges, but like honestly, I think that's overplayed.
Yeah, I feel like that is overplayed, and I feel like Jay is becoming the new Joe as far as like people who say they want to like play a physically dominant game. So I just not impressed.
Yeah, and then it's like Joe didn't play, hasn't played that recently. I mean, people still say Parvati. No one said Boston Rob or Russell Hantz, though, as the people they'd most be like. So I guess that's a good change from the past. People still did say Parvati, though, and I guess that's okay. But, like, come on. You can't say Boston Rob and Russell Hantz anymore. It's getting too old. I don't know.
The Alec, thing is, at least Parvati won a game before her 4th time playing.
Hashtag honestly dead. Like some people, I don't know. Alec also says he charms guys and girls and that his personality is endearing.
My favorite thing that he said is it was like, what 3 things do you want? One of his answers was a guitar to play Kumbaya around the fire. Like, what are you doing?
Like, chill out, dude. Like, you're attractive, I guess, but I think what's his face? Dan, the SWAT officer, beats you in that regard. In any regard. Honestly, Dan is so popular this season for some reason. Alec, like, kick yourself to the curb, please. Stop it. And I don't know, Alec, it's just like a bad taste in the mouth because he is the one who broke the cast rules with Cara K. Honestly, look at that alliteration in that name. But he broke the like contract, so he's not being invited to the reunion show. So that just goes to show he could be important in the season, but he screwed over CBS and he's not being brought back. So there's no point in rooting for him because he's probably never going to be invited back for another season, and he's probably not winning this season, even if he makes jury, because I feel like he's attractive and he's strong, and the Goliath team looks stronger than the David team. So
Yeah, the thing is, like, you kind of know that he's not going to win because if he can't come back to the reunion show, then it's like, you know.
What's the point of a reunion show if the winner isn't there or a final three isn't there?
Yeah, so I don't particularly like him, so.
Me neither. That's that. Sorry to start on the negative Nelly foot. Next, we have Alison, who is 28 from Kansas. Now she lives in North Carolina, and she's a physician. Her Q&A thing, it was sort of quirky, funny. Her hobbies, she talked about eating the Olive Garden, like breadsticks and salads to the bottom. I was like, that's unique. Pet peeve, she says entitled people. Relatable. I feel like you could see a lot of entitled people on the Goliath tribe. And 3 words to describe herself, she said, hero, healer, and hustler. Okay. Claim to fame, she said her grade school spelling bee.
You see, I feel like she's one of those people where, like, she's either trying way too hard to be quirky or she's just, like, very like, you know, like, okay, this is the epitome of people who, like, say something in their bio and then it never gets mentioned in their show. When Michelle was like, Harry Potter is my hero, and we were like, who is this nerd? And I just...
Yeah, we were like, oh, this girl is so weird. She's talking about Harry Potter too much in her video, and then it never gets mentioned in the thing. It's like someone else this season said Rick Grimes was their hero also. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. But yeah, I can't tell. Alison, like from her pictures and stuff, it doesn't seem like she's the jokester type. So maybe she is trying too hard and trying to make every answer funny. I can't tell. It's really odd. It just seems like
she references The Office, and she obviously has seen Survivor. She knows the hero, healer, hustler thing, but she also said that her hobbies include working out, and it's like, I'm so confused by her. Why are you an enigma, Alison?
Yeah, I think she's interesting because, and I use interesting reluctantly in this term, because she says she's studying medicine for 10 years and now she's finally like deviating from the past, you know, going against the norm, med school stuff. But I honestly feel like Alison is very forgettable. I feel like she could be voted out early. I just don't see her as like someone this season that you'll be like, oh, I want to play like Alison. But we don't know anything about these people. She could be super good at the game. Who knows? But like, honestly, I don't know. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I feel like she's one of those middle of the pack people.
Yeah. Next, we have Angelina. She is also 28 from Nevada, but she's in California now, and she's a financial consultant. She was one of the 6 people on the like preview little short clip from the reunion show. So something to keep in mind. She might be one to look out for. She's very, very accomplished, like in all of the stuff, you know, the Stanford Yale thing. I think it's really interesting. She seems very, very political. She's talked about her nonprofit getting young girls to run for student government. She was the Stanford student body president. And I was like, that's really cool, you know. But if you talk about politics too much, that might be an issue. But like, honestly, I don't know. The whole student government and stuff, like I related to. So I like that.
Rachel's just a student government hoe. I thought it was really interesting because she said that she wanted to be like Natalie Anderson and Parvati, and she like said which aspects of both of those that she liked. And I feel like sometimes you are tempted to say certain things about like certain Survivor players that aren't really like true. Like they'll be like, oh, Russell played such a dominant game or whatever, and it's like, not really, because he didn't win. But I feel like her assessments of both Natalie and Parvati showed that she kind of understands the game. So
Yeah, I thought the Natalie Anderson choice made up for the Parvati choice because, like, we'd never see anyone pick Natalie. A lot of people pick Parvati. So it's interesting. I think Angelina is very smart, obviously, from her education. I think she seems really real too because on her Instagram post after, like, the cast stuff came live, she was joking about how Jeff said she had a 4.8 GPA, but that was her GPA from high school. And she actually graduated Yale with a 3.2. So I think like she came off as very cocky in the promo material because I feel like she was typecast as like the smart Stanford Yale girl. But like if she's able to joke like that about her education, I think she can be very relatable and like less coming off as a cocky person who has had good education.
Yeah, I feel like she can definitely do better to like paint herself in a good light than like the promo material does. And honestly, if she managed to get elected to serve as like the student body president of Stanford, I feel like she must be doing something right. Like you don't elect a meanie pants to be your student body president.
Yeah, she has to be a cool girl, I guess. And she's Adam's friend or fellow Stanford person. So she is one to keep an eye out for. Probably can go far in the game. You know, she's attractive, accomplished. So I think she can go far. And Adam supports her, obviously. So that's something to keep an eye out for, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. I think she could go far. Or
Yeah.
I feel like she could be like Stephanie Johnson, where like she balls too hard out of the gate, and then people are like, no. So,
Aw, Ripperoni. Next, we have Dan, who is 27 from Florida, and he's a SWAT officer. He is such a fan favorite already. It is honestly so crazy. He wasn't like even in the promo material that was on the videos or anything like that, but on like the Survivor Facebook group, people were tagging him like at Dan R, whatever, how you ever pronounce that last name.
Ringering.
Yeah, they were like tagging him and he was like replying to people on the Survivor Facebook page. And like people think he's the winner of the season, which could be honestly true. I feel like, you know, he's set up well. He has a cool story about losing weight. He's the youngest ever person on the SWAT team and he has kids at the age of 27. So he has had a lot of life for being really young.
Yeah, I feel like 27 isn't even like super young. But he says that he's like Malcolm, which is like, I feel like Malcolm is also one of those answers that's kind of overused. So,
Yeah. From season 25 specifically, though, not from Game Changers. Yikums.
I feel like everyone wants to forget that Malcolm was on Game Changers, including Malcolm.
True. I don't know. I think Dan can fare really well. He talked a lot about the SWAT team stuff and like how he has to talk to people every day. And like I Googled what the SWAT does, and it seems like a pretty legit, like really cool job. And I think he's one also to watch out for. I think he's going to go far. He's likable, attractive, and fan favorite already for whatever reason. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, I feel like one of those things though, where people who are fan favorites aren't necessarily the best players. You know,
True.
like some people who become fan favorites, I don't understand how. So
hopefully he's a fan favorite for a good reason, like good gameplay, and not like I don't even know what other reason it could be.
being
But
attractive,
yeah, being really cute. So we'll see. Next, we have Jeremy, age 40, from South Carolina, now living in New York, and he's an attorney. He says one of his interests is genealogy, which was interesting. I think you can take one of those 23andMe tests and then they siphon off your DNA to crazy people. Interesting. And
is that a conspiracy theory, Rachel?
I don't know. Like, I feel like they say they don't sell your DNA, but honestly, I feel like they probably do.
You just became a conspiracy theorist. Oh my goodness. Okay.
He passed the bar in New York, New Jersey, and Georgia on the first try. And I think New York is one of the hardest bar exams. So he's a smart cookie also. And he says he wants to play like Jeremy Collins. Name twins.
Yeah, I feel like the one thing about Jeremy's thing that made me kind of go, huh, was the fact that he says that he doesn't have a hero. Like, everyone has a hero, man.
Yeah, and he says he has a sick father at home. Jeff says in the video on CBS that Jeremy is super friendly guy, but I don't know. I really don't see Jeremy having a lot of personality on paper. A lot of his answers were like this, that, whatever, but maybe he has more personality on TV or he comes across better like talking than on paper, but like he doesn't seem that interesting on paper, but Jeff says he's so friendly, so he's got to be something semi-cool, I guess.
I mean, being friendly doesn't equate to being, like, interesting.
Good at the game.
Yeah. So, I don't know. His answers were really short compared to some people. Like, gave one sentence answers basically, and some people gave like entire paragraphs. So
yeah, like people need to find the middle ground because like one of the other people, I wrote it down later, like wrote one sentence per thing, and then I'm like, okay, great, but I don't learn anything about you. And then with the paragraphs, I'm like, I don't have time to read your 4-paragraph essay as an answer. Like,
you should not need a thesis to tell us why you're gonna win Survivor.
Yeah, trim it down. I don't know. Jeremy could go far. He's smart, lawyer type, so probably good at talking, making connections. We'll see. Hopefully he can be in the majority alliance. Next, we have John, also known as Johnny Mundo, and he has so many nicknames in his Q&A. He literally listed nicknames for 10 lines. He's 38 from LA, and he's a professional wrestler.
This was actually really interesting because right after it was announced that he was going to be on Survivor, I was watching a YouTube video, and he was in the YouTube video teaching someone like how to do, I think, MMA fighting, and it was really cool because I was like, hey, I recognize that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think John, do we say John, Johnny, whatever?
Let's call him Johnny.
I think, I don't know, he's going to be good TV. I'm honestly excited to see him on TV. And it seems like he knows a lot about the game versus maybe some of the other famous people this season. And he wants to be like Mike Holloway with shades of Cochran. So he's honestly seen those seasons, and that's a short while ago. But I think since he has a lot of money already, that could be a factor, which, you know, necessarily isn't good because like you want to give it to the person who's most deserving. But when it comes down to it, if he's coming from a lot of money because of pro wrestling and he's worked hard for that, but he's like, you know, he's representing the multi-million-dollar wrestling company thing, like people will see that and like take note that he might not need this winner money.
What he says he's going to do with the money is buying a Corvette the size of a Hummer. Like, that's just... And also he talks a lot about like fitness on the island, and I feel like he doesn't really quite understand the fact that like you're not going to have extra calories to burn like doing workouts every day, you know?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the professional athletes or famous coaches kind of stuff like don't last super long on Survivor, whether like, oh, someone recognizes them or is a fan of them. People, I think he brought that jacket that says Mayor of Slamtown, so I think at least one person will probably know what it is, and B, who also does wrestling, would probably know who he is. But I don't know. I feel like Johnny could be the bossy type A leader kind, which wouldn't bode well on the tribe. But yeah, I am excited to see him. He looks like good TV, funny confessionals, and I think he will probably get a lot of screen time at the beginning of the season, like a lot of confessionals because of ratings and stuff. And, you know, it'll draw his fans to watch the show and maybe their first time viewers. So I think he will get more screen time because of that.
Yeah, I feel like at the very least, they'll probably put him a bit at the beginning to be like the interesting, famous guy. So,
yeah, I like Johnny. I am interested to see him play. I think it's always cool when you come from another like super hard discipline, and he was so dedicated to that his entire life, but wants to try new things. So I'm excited.
sure.
Just the shore. Awesome. So next we have Cara, whatever. Cara K. Haha. She's 30 from San Diego and a realtor, ex-pro NFL cheerleader, but she didn't mention any of that in her Q&A. I was really confused. I wrote, I don't know what to write about under her name.
She just looks really basic. Like, looking at her picture, it looks like the kind of picture you would use on, like, a dating profile, not for Survivor.
And it's honestly, I wrote down, like, I feel like she's going to be judged because of what she looks like. I don't know if that's good or bad. It could go both ways. It could be like, oh, she's so attractive, let me align with her. Or, oh, she looks fake, let's vote her out.
Yeah.
So
she also spelled vain wrong because she said that she wants a mirror to help make fire, and she says it sounds vain, but she spells it like vein with like vein in your arm instead of vein as in like
VAIN.
Yeah.
Aw, honey.
She's
Do they not spell check
smartest
these
cookie? I guess not.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't show up unless someone actually reread all of your words, because vein is a real word either way. So she also says she wants to be like Parvati and Figgy without the showmance, but
Figgy is not a good person to compare yourself to, even if you say without the showmance, just because we didn't get Figgy without the showmance, and I'm still hella bitter about that.
Honestly, I think Figgy, if she's brought back, can do really well solo. Figgy with the showmance, not so much. I think Cara and Alec from the whole scandal thing, maybe it is a showmance, and then she would have gone back on everything she wrote in this Q&A, and she did that post with Alec, so she's already on the poopy list for this season. So I don't know. I don't think she's winning the season. She could go far because of her looks, and she seems like she's physically fit, but personality-wise, I don't know. I don't see personality, like genuine personality, but maybe that's rude.
She seems to be like one of those people who's trying to seem cool or like personable, but no.
Next, we have Mike. He's 47 from San Diego, now lives in LA. He's a filmmaker. His answers were short as hell. It was literally one sentence per thing. He knows the game, he says, and he's a student of psychology, which would be interesting for the game. I'm interested to see him. I think he's one of the people would be interesting to watch on TV because he's famous. He made movies, stuff like that, but he's definitely the oddball of the group. He's older. He's not buff, which I feel like could hurt him. And if he is voted out because of that, I'm going to be so sad because I don't know. He seems like such a friendly, cool dude. Like, I would want to be friends with Mike.
Yeah, he seems really cool. And, like, I thought it was interesting because for the Survivor contestants, he said he was most like, he said Penner and Rob Sesternino. And I thought that was interesting because neither of them won the game. And they're also both, like, not passe, but they've both been away for, like, 10 years now. So he obviously knows more about Survivor than, like, I'd say 95% of the cast. And he says that the reason he wants to play is to see how he would do. So,
yeah, I wrote that down, that he says he doesn't want to play the game to win. He wants to play the game for the game, which is really interesting because everyone for this question was like, I want to play for the money. I want to give back to my family. But Mike is saying he wants to play for the gameplay alone, which is really interesting. And I really hope he's not voted out early because, like, I think he's smart and can do well if his team keeps winning, which I do see the Goliaths, like, they have such a strong team, like males and female wise versus compared to the Davids. So hopefully Mike can make it further than not first boot. Like, you know?
Yeah, I would be upset if he was the first boot.
But maybe, you know, I don't know, older men and like that kind of stuff, maybe that's endearing and people would want to work with him, especially if he like tells people who he is and has stories. If he's like he's not even old, the older guy who tells stories about like movies and working with famous people, that could get the younger people to be like, oh, like he's so cool. Haha.
I feel like he'd have to be very careful about which famous people to name drop. Like he'd have to be like, oh, so who's your favorite actor? And then hope to God that he'd like talk to them before.
Yeah. His life just seems so interesting. I would love to like chat with him about that. So like that's the reason, you know, keep him around for the stories. He can talk about Hollywood. Seems so cool, but like, yeah. Next, we have Natalia. She's 25 from California, and she's an industrial engineer. She must be smart because she's doing engineering. And I don't know, I wrote that it's hard to judge people on these questions because they're so, like, the questions are so boring. And IDK, guess we'll see about Natalia.
I like that her pet peeve is people who don't brush their teeth. Like, that's such a weird thing.
No, it's also so weird because I think Natalia's gonna get voted out early. There is no way you have a Natalia and a Natalie on the same tribe. And when Natalie is this powerhouse CEO lady, like, you for sure know that Natalie's gonna try to vote Natalia's ass off that island. Even if you don't, like, I don't know. It's just the same thing about having the same name.
It's like when Stephanie and Stephanie were on.
Exactly. Like, you say it's not because they have the same name as you, but like low key, it's because
you have to be the alpha.
Yeah, you can't have two people with that similar of a name. And like Natalia seems more beta than Natalie. And I think Natalie will vote her ass out of the game. So I don't know. I think, yeah, I don't see Natalia going far.
Yeah, I also feel like of all the people, she's like on the younger end, but she's also like seems less experienced than like the other people, you know?
Yeah, 25, but like her answers didn't give that much depth, and that's why I didn't like write much about her because
she talks about brushing her teeth like 3 times, and I'm like, honey, if you are so obsessed with brushing your teeth, you're not gonna make it very far.
I don't know. One to pass by. Don't really see her going that far. Going on to Natalie, who is 56 from LA, and she's a publishing CEO. She was also in the premiere little video that was at the reunion show. And I wrote, yeah, she's going to vote out Natalie. You can't have that name twin. She is a badass, powerful woman. She is accomplished in her life. I really like Natalie. She hopefully can go far, and she's like a strong lady.
Yeah, I really liked her too. Like, I feel like she just seems so cool, and like I feel like the fact that she's the older woman might be bad for her, just because there seems to be such like a bias against older women unless they're like the like motherly figure, and she doesn't really seem that way. So
yeah, it'd just be so interesting to talk with her, similar to Mike. Like, she has accomplished so much in her life. I would love to hear those stories. And she says she wants to be like Kim Spradlin, which is like, yes, good for new answers, you know, logical, strategic, calculating. Natalie says she's a risk taker and she's a strong competitor. And she just seems so cool. I really like her. She's a strong lady. She's older and she seems just so badass. And even though like she is 56, she definitely, and she mentions it in her Q&A, like I could see her as mid 40s. Like no way she's really 56. Like I feel like she has a young aura about her that's also like badass CEO, like I will pummel you to the ground kind of personality, which is so cool.
Yep. I feel like the only thing that might be bad is like if people are intimidated by her, because like She seems like she could be hella intimidating.
That's true. I would honestly probably be scared to talk with her because she's so like accomplished, scary. I don't know, but hopefully she can fit into the tribe well. But yeah, I think that is something to look at, and females could be like jealous of her.
Yeah, I really hope that she goes far though. Like, I really hope so.
Yeah, if she's the freaking first person out of the tribe,
I'm gonna quit.
time for justice. Hashtag justice for Natalie. Natalia better be the first one out of this tribe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that rounds out our Goliaths. Definitely the more interesting of the two tribes. More people I feel like I would want to root for and are interested in seeing on my TV. But the Davids are interesting too, so we'll move along. The Davids will start with B. She is 28 from Houston and an MMA fighter. Her and Johnny could maybe get along or maybe they'll butt heads. But honestly, if you're like a budding fighter, wouldn't you want to talk with someone who's like accomplished in the field? And her personal claim to fame is basically the David versus Goliath story. I think the drawback with B is that her first time watching was season 35. So literally 1 year ago, and then she gets cast for 37. So a recruit, I feel like basically there's no way you can apply for one season when people have been applying for like 7 or 8 years. And she says she wants to be like Ben.
Her nickname, her MMA nickname was Kill Her B. And I feel like that's such a cool nickname. It's like
That's
Killer B, but with Kill Her. But yeah, I feel like she's probably a recruit. And I feel like it would even be kind of interesting if they like recruited her to be on the same season as Johnny so they could have some sort of like character arc together. So
yeah, I think she'll be a good competitor. Obviously, she is athletic from doing the fighting, probably strong at challenges. So I hope she isn't voted out early because I would be interested in seeing the Johnny B relationship, friendship form, because that's always so interesting. And B is unique, you know?
I also just feel like it would be really funny to see this like super buff white guy and this like smaller looking Asian woman just like being best friends together, punching each other because they're MMA fighters. That would be so cool.
Yeah, hopefully, like, I don't know. I want to see that storyline. Hopefully it works out. I don't know. I don't see her being, let me look. I don't know. I feel like she won't be the first person voted off of the tribe, but like you never know. Maybe she has a strong personality because of her field, and then girls are like intimidated by her as well.
I don't think like I really hope that she does well as well, just because she seems super like scrappy and stuff. So
Yeah, me too. Sad. It's going to be such a bummer once all this doesn't happen. Next, we have Karl. He is 41 from Texas and he's a truck driver. He seems very country. He says he likes fishing, horses, shooting pool. I don't know. I feel like he could be very relatable because he seems like an average dude, which could be relatable with his teammates, and he's not like, oh, I'm cast for Survivor because I'm famous or I have a really cool claim to fame, but like he's a legit dude.
the only thing, like the name Karl, I just think of llamas with hats. Karl. I also thought it was interesting because he seems pretty like religious. Like he mentions that he would bring a prayer card and a pocket Bible with him on the island, and I feel like sometimes that gets to be like, but they also seem to have kind of strayed away from mentioning like religious stuff on Survivor as much. So
Yeah, I feel like HHH, we had a lot of people talking about religion and all of their stuff, and then recently it's been less so. I don't know about Karl. I feel like he seems forgettable. I only had 3 bullet points for him, and that was it. So I don't know. Just he's average.
Yeah, he also kind of answered very short. Like, the reason he thinks he'll survive Survivor, he thinks he can outwit, outplay, outlast. Like, that's not very specific. You're just quoting the tagline.
Like, haha, no dip, Karl. Come on now.
Yeah, Karl.
I don't know. Karl is a weird. You have to say it with 2 syllables, but it looks like it would be 1. You have to Karl. I don't know. It's too hard. Next we have Christian, 32. He's originally from Baltimore, Maryland, so Alyssa and I's hometown, and now he's in Florida. He's a robotics scientist, and he was also in the reunion show little promo video. He's honestly a really smart dude. I don't know, he looks like physically similar to Mike, and maybe they can get along, but like Christian, he's so smart. You know, he was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he wants to be like Stephen Fishback. And like we all know, Stephen is cool, and that's a new one.
Yeah, I feel like he just looks like a nerd more than like anything else. And he wrote a computer program to train his dog, which is like, okay, Christian.
I was like, damn, you have to be smart if you're writing code to train your dog. That's so cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't get voted out.
He would bring a graphing calculator with him. Like,
to make sure the shelter is the best it can be. But yeah, I am hoping that Christian does not get voted out early. He's definitely one of the like scrawnier guys on the season and even on the David tribe, which might not fare well. Hopefully, if he isn't, I don't know, there's a stereotype with the scrawny guys that like, oh, they'll come out and be like super paranoid about things and try to find an idol the first day. But I don't know, because he was in the promo thing, hopefully he makes it far. Like, I would love to see the nerdy dude win the show over the Goliaths, who you would think would win the show, but then you have this nerdy dude do it. And he's from Maryland, so we have to root for him.
No, we don't.
But he seems so smart.
He seems really smart, but I feel like he's just not going to do very well. That's just me, though.
You think he won't have like the social skills?
Yeah, that's, I feel like, what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly feel like we'll see. He's like typecast as the Cochran David kind of nerdy. I feel like they're moving away from the Joe Anglim archetypes and they're moving more into the like David, Hannah nerdy people archetypes are getting cast on the show, which is interesting. I want to see Christian go far. I think it would be really cool because he has the cards stacked against him definitely based on like physical attributes.
Yeah.
So, moving along, we have Davey, not David or whatever he wrote in his thing that he was annoyed about. He's 30, from South Carolina, living in Atlanta now. He's a social media manager. And I didn't really understand what social media manager was. His answers were really, really long. And then I looked him up on Instagram because he put his freaking Instagram handle in his Q&A bio, and he only has 2,700 followers.
Yeah, I was expecting him. He said something like, oh, I regularly get called by my Instagram handle by strangers. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't, Davey. He's a Siberian Husky breeder as well, which is...
Yo, yeah, he was talking about all of his dogs. I'm like, oh, damn, this dude really likes his dogs. And then in the last sentence, he was like, I breed Siberian Huskies. I was like, oh, shoot. Like, where was that at the beginning when I was really confused about how many dogs you have because you talked about them in every sentence. And he also says Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead is his hero. I'm like, dude, Rick, maybe first and second season of Walking Dead, was a good leader. Now he like literally makes the dumbest decisions. I stopped watching The Walking Dead because like Rick is so annoying on that show. They like literally need to kill him off and make someone else the main lead actor. Like I cannot deal with Rick. He's so annoying.
I've never seen The Walking Dead, so I have no idea how to respond to this, but I'll believe you right
now. People to go get killed. He's so bad. So Davey, he showed a lot of himself in the Q&A. He seems like he has personality, whether it's good or the kind of guy that'll talk too much, I guess we'll see. I don't know. He's interesting. How is he going to talk about being a social media manager when he doesn't? I mean, you know, it's a lot of followers, but like comparatively, it's not a lot of followers.
Yeah. Meh. We have 300 subscribers. We should put that in our Survivor bios. Yeah.
Yeah, Davey and Enigma, I'm confused. Going on to Elizabeth. She's 31 from Texas and she's kitchen staff. She seems very country also, so I think she can get along well with the country people like Karl. She is interesting because she's a mom. She has 3 state championships horse racing, and she has this program called Jaw.
Yeah. She's also obsessed with a hat.
That's what my next bullet point was, literally.
I just, like, she wore this hat during labor and delivery with her children, and, like, what?
I honestly wish, like, Russell Hantz or Sandra was on this season so they could steal her hat and like,
burn it.
Yeah. And then she would get so freaked out because she's like, I'm not taking the hat off. Like, I'm not. I'm like, oh, geez. How are you going to do a swimming challenge? Like, leave it on and swim?
Yeah. She also says that she's most like Big Tom from Africa, which is like, I love that guy, but also what?
Yeah. And she also said Sandra. But maybe she's funny. She's like, she wants to bring chocolate on the island because of period cramps. And I'm like, okay, that's relatable, Elizabeth. But she seems very quirky, very unique. And maybe not in, I don't know, maybe not in the good way in relatability to her peers. But she seems like a big fan of the show because she talked about Australia with the Big Tom reference. And that was her first episode season watched. So she could be a super fan. Her social game, we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah. I think she'll do okay, but not great.
Middle of the line, I think. Early jury or early merge or late pre-merge. Or first boot off this tribe. Who knows?
Who knows? Not us.
Like, honestly, Gabby, 25, Denver, and she's a writer. She was also in the preview little thingy. She's interesting because she hikes mountains over 14,000 feet, but she says she's very emotional. It sounds like in her like preview thing, she was talking about crying. She says she's like Aubrey and she cries like Dawn and flirty like Parvati. And then I'm like,
if she was bad at flirting.
Yeah, Dawn, why would you want to be like Dawn? I feel like she's sort of disliked from her second season. And she backstabbed Brenda, and everyone likes Brenda.
Yeah, I just feel like she seems kind of all over the place, and I can't really like find a solid word for Gabby, except for that she seems like a nerd, and I feel like we've been describing everyone as nerds.
Yeah, she definitely has that look for it, but like she's pretty. I don't know. I want to root for Gabby because I think she's relatable in like she's normal and she has the same fears and qualms as everyone else, but there's something about her that makes her, I don't know, just someone that is like hard to root for because there's just something. There's something there. I can't put my finger on it.
I get what you mean, though.
There's just
Like,
something not right about it.
I'm interested to see if we'll be able to put our finger on it after we've seen her play a little more.
Yeah, it's like I want to root for her. She seems like a cool gal and she finds human psychology and social dynamics fascinating. Like I think that's fascinating. There's just something off. Something's missing in this picture. But I guess she is one to keep an eye out for because she is in the preview. And maybe that's just because maybe first episode she's crying already and then she has that confessional about crying on the first day and then she gets voted out. Could be that. But I feel like if you are someone in the preview, you have to be interesting in some sort of way to make that top 6 preview. So one to keep an eye out for, I think. I want to root for her. We got to figure this out, Alyssa. I'm really conflicted.
So am I.
Yikums. Anything else about Gabby?
No, just that I hope I figure out why I don't like her.
So next we have Jessica. She's 19 from Florida and she's a waitress. Yeah, I think Survivor
She's younger than us. Like,
literally. I think Survivor is casting kids every season now. It seems like we have a token teenager on every season. And her claim to fame is that she was elected senior class officer at her high school. And then you have Angelina, who was the president at Stanford. So
she also says that her pet peeve is saying "bless you" when someone sneezes. Like, what do you have a problem with that?
I wrote that down too. I'm like, what is wrong with that? It's just like common courtesy nowadays. I was confused.
Does she want people to say like "God bless you," or is her pet peeve when people don't say "bless you"?
Or when people sneeze? Please explain, Jessica.
At Jessica, please tell us what you're thinking.
And also, there's so many Jessicas on Survivor. It's bad to have a name because how can you be famous if you have the same name as everyone else?
No,
but that's besides the point. Not to judge her, but I feel like it will be hard for her to relate to other people without the life experience. She just seems very naive and like ha ha ha, like go with the flow kind of floater girl because she is young, maybe not willing to stand up for herself and make the big moves compared to someone like freaking Natalie who is gonna steamroll people. I feel like Jessica is gonna be I don't know. I hope she doesn't make it far because I don't think she's going to be good TV. She's going to be a passive person just like there for the ride because she is so young. And I don't know. She just doesn't have the life experience. All these people have kids. What are you going to talk about? Like, I'm the same age as your kid.
Yeah, I just feel like 19, you should be like figuring out what you're doing with your life, not trying to win $1 million on an island somewhere.
And it's like the thing, no one is giving $1 million to a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever. Even if you do play a good game, David had said it about his season in Millennials versus Gen X. Like, we're not giving Will $1 million, even if he did play a balls to the wall game. Will Wall, balls to the wall. Haha. So funny. But like, I don't know. I don't want to watch her on TV, point blank.
Yeah. I'm hoping that she goes early.
Me too, but like she seems like a sweet, quiet girl, so she will be able to fly under the radar, get a confessional here and there, and make it to the merge, honestly. But like, what can she talk about with other people who have kids, who have gone to college? She's going to talk about her high school student government. Like, it doesn't add up.
Yeah. Imagine if she and what's her face were talking about their experiences leading student government. Like, yes, I led my class of 400 or however large her high school class was, as opposed to, yeah, I was the student body president for over 15,000 people.
Yeah, I don't see how she's going to fit in and relate to people. So we'll see with Jessica. Next, we have Lursa, who's 36, from Puerto Rico, but lives in Boston now. She's into kickboxing, super fan of the show, but I don't really know what else to say about her.
She has cool hair.
Yeah.
I don't know. She seems interesting, but not like interesting enough.
Yeah, like I think she can bring flair to the season, but like I don't know, I just don't see her as someone going necessarily far and someone like, oh, I want to be like Lursa next year or something like that, but maybe she'll surprise us. She has a semi-decent strategy saying she's not a physical threat, so like she can slide by, but I think at the beginning, especially because it seems like David's are less physically threatening than the Goliaths, that being not physical is going to be more of a burden than it is a benefit, especially if you're losing the first few immunity challenges.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where you need to be strong at the beginning of the game. Otherwise, like, you can't really get to the part where the strategy matters more.
Yeah, exactly. Lursa didn't really write that much about her. Yeah.
Eh.
Next, we have Nick, who is 27 from Kentucky. He's a public defender. He was also featured in the reunion episode. And it seems like they're typecasting Donathans now, like the Southern people with the accents and like sort of nerdy, quirky. And it's like interesting. We're getting a Donathan typecast, a David typecast, and an Aubrey typecast. Which, I don't know, maybe I prefer that over a Joe Anglim type cast.
I don't know. The one thing about Nick that made me laugh was that he said he wanted to be like JT, and I feel like the Survivor fan base as a whole has agreed that JT played a great game in Tocantins, but like, what the hell happened to him since? He's just made so many stupid decisions.
I literally wrote that on my thing. I'm like, JT from all of his seasons, why would you just not write JT from Tocantins as who you want to play like? I don't understand why you would also include the other two times, because why not say the winning time? First season, unanimous vote. I don't know, Nick. He's also a super fan. He calls himself a redneck lawyer. He's first gen for college. Seems like he's very country as well, boating, riding, and horse races.
Yeah. I feel like he definitely has an interesting mix of experiences because he's like the quote unquote redneck lawyer, and like there's a lot of code switching that I'd imagine would have to happen for him in order to be like respected, because a lot of people don't really respect kind of like redneck type culture. So
yeah, I wish we had the videos to watch of people, because he has that accent and that could help us judge him more. But I don't know. I wish we had the videos, because it's really hard based on what people say, because everyone says the same things about their hobbies and stuff. So Nick, I guess he's one to look out for because he was in the video, and I guess he maybe will go far, and that's why they're typecasting Donathans now. Don't really know, but yeah, I guess he's one to look out for.
yeah.
Okay, last but not least, we have Pat, who is 40, from New York. He's a maintenance manager, and Jeff says that he inspired the theme of David versus Goliath. So this whole season, it's all due to Pat Cusack.
Thanks,
Cool
Pat.
name.
His tattoos are also super cool.
Yeah, and he's has a family. He wants to be like Cochran and Richard Hatch, and he's never really left New York. So maybe lack of travel life experience, he won't really have that much to talk about, but I feel like he could have a lot of cool stories from like growing up in New York and doing all this stuff, and talk about his kids.
Yeah, I feel like also New York State doesn't get that hot in the summer. So like he says like tropical paradise is something he's never experienced, but I feel like he'll find out very soon that tropical paradise is not that great when you have to live it for 39 days straight.
Yeah, I feel like he comes off just based on looks as maybe intimidating, scary because of all the tattoos and stuff, but maybe he can be a big teddy bear. Like, I think Ben said it in his preseason stuff too, saying like, oh, I come off as XYZ, but I'm actually like a personable guy. So we'll see with Pat. I don't know. I guess hopefully Pat goes far. If he inspired the theme, like that would be a bummer if he's out early, but what are you going to do? I think hopefully there is some tribe switching second or third episode, maybe, because it's usually at that into like 3 tribes, 2 tribes, whatever. We can do a twist video as well, but like I think the Goliath tribe is way more stacked than the David tribe, and it's sort of unfair.
Yeah, I just feel like with Pat, I don't see anything in his story that inherently makes me go like, oh, he's the reason, like that it was David and Goliath. So I'm really interested to see if we get to learn more about him and figure out why he was the one who inspired the season theme.
That's true. He seems very, I didn't write that much about him. Maybe I was lazy because I was the end of looking at everyone, but like, yeah, I don't know. It seems very, he's there.
Yeah. So I hope that he gets at least to the merge, but I don't see him as a winner.
Yeah. Looks like Dan Rengering is the winner. Yay. But yeah, this was our cast assessment for Survivor Season 36. With the lack of videos, we can do more cast assessing if they do upload videos. Other than that, next week we will be doing a boot list for the season. So like trying to place where people will fall this season. And it's going to be a ton of fun. Sorry we were MIA for a tad bit, but we are back and better than ever.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys with that boot list hopefully soon.
Yeah, let us know who you like out of this cast, who you think is a dud, who's annoying, everything like that. We want to know if we're on the same page about these people. And yeah.
We'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.